Today we are going to look at ongoing development of a migrated application. We are going to see how we can create a DevOps cycle of code, build, test, stage and deploy. For this demonstration, we are going to use GITLAB. It can be used to automate much of an organization's application development. GITLAB organizes development around groups and projects within those groups. Here we have a single group for DevOps, and within that, an IBMI application that has already been migrated. We can see the source files and members within those source files. We can also see here recent activity within the application. Each CI/CD, or DevOps cycle runs in a pipeline. If we look at an individual pipeline execution, we can see the various stages of the process. We will cover this in more detail later, but note the build, test, stage and deploy stages of the application deployment. Development within an organization is usually done collaboratively. GITLAB allows us to track and monitor the work of teams through the use of issues and boards. For the purposes of this demonstration, we are going to create and track an issue. The issue itself will be superficial, but enough to demonstrate the entire process. We are taking a quick look at the migrated application itself. It is a simple IBMI application with a few screens and standard IBMI layout. Here we are looking at the invoice master screen. We are going to raise an issue to change the color of the band from red to blue. In GITLAB, we will now create an issue on the development board. GITLAB allows us to have multiple boards per project, allowing more control over team development. We will create a new issue for the change we want to make. First, we move the issue to the doing list. This will update everyone that the issue is being worked on. Note that the labels for each state are updated. Okay. So now we will start working with the issue itself. The issue describes the problem to solve. On the other hand, the solution is achieved through one or more merge requests. Let's create a new merge request for the solution. This is the merge request. GITLAB automatically creates a branch in the code specifically for this request. It will also close the issue when the merge request is complete. The request includes code changes, discussions, and commits related to the solution. It is also the place to track pipelines, test results, and review changes. So for the change itself, we are going to use the web IDE provided. You could also use the MCS VS Code plugin. We find the display file and look for the master invoice record. And we will change the color here to blue. When we go to save the changes, we are shown the code differences as a quick review for the programmer. Let us go ahead and stage these changes. We write a short message and commit those changes back to the same branch created in the merge request. After the commit, GITLAB will automatically start a new DevOps pipeline. And here is the active pipeline. So let us take a closer look at some of these activities. The build job will compile the files and programs updated by any changes we have made. The code quality job will execute static checks on the code we have created. This might include applying rules for the languages used, or organization-specific requirements for written code. The container scanning job checks for vulnerabilities in the containers used in the application environment. Static analysis and security testing looks at all the code to find any patterns of code use that may expose vulnerabilities in the application, like buffer overflows. The test job will execute those tests created by the organization to test the application itself. This would cover unit testing, functional tests, etc. The review app step spins up an instance of the application with the new code changes applied. It allows the stakeholders of the issue to have an early chance to review the changes and provide feedback if required. And now, because we have a running application, we can perform dynamic application security testing. This checks a running application for vulnerabilities. We could have additional steps in the pipeline. This is just one example. We could add a performance step to the pipeline to check running application against expected metrics. So now we return to our merge request. You will note the additional information now available after the pipeline execution. Normally at this point, we would ask for a manual review of the code changes from another team member. They might add some comments, and the discussion will be kept with the merge request. However, all looks good, so we are going to merge this change into the master branch. So now we have a new pipeline. Let's take a look at it. It looks quite similar, but there are some differences. Instead of a review stage, we are deploying to a staging environment. And there is a manual step to deploy to production. Okay, so now the application is on the staging environment, but not yet in production. Let's do a quick check to show that. Here is the update applied on the staging environment. And here is the production environment where the change has not been applied. Now back to GITLAB, and we will execute the last pipeline step. And back on the production machine now. Let's see if the change is active. So that's it. We took a new issue, created a merge request, and tracked it through the DevOps cycle until applied to production.